So today I'm joined by Phil and Mark from the Deal Wargames Club, and we're going to do a 1944 World War II scenario. Phil, tell us all about the scenario we'll be running through.
Okay, well it's a couple of days after D-Day. We're in the American sector, and due to heavy armoured casualties, the American colonel in charge wants a squad to go up a local road, investigate a tiny French hamlet, so that he can send his armour up without getting whacked by any Panzerfaust or Panzerschrecks.
So Mark, as the dastardly Germans, what's your plan to stop the Americans in their tracks?
Well, hopefully I can make it to the little hamlet. I'm not keen on, I've already seen the terrain, I'm not keen on the building in the centre, so I mostly try to go for one of the flank ones, so I'm not completely surrounded. Hopefully take it, or two, and just wait for whatever comes down the road.
Okay, so we've got the Germans starting over here with Mark, and we've got the Americans at the far end with Phil. Phil, do you want to tell us a little bit about the rules that we're using?
Yeah, tonight we're going to be using the 1 Hour Skirmish Wargames rules by Dr. John Lambshead. It's probably been up for a few years now. Very short, simple games. As the title suggests, you can play a good game in 1 hour. 10 to 15 figures per side will give you a good game. No dice involved in this.
Right.
So it's all done on playing cards.
Okay.
But it gives a very fast game, and it's applicable to numerous periods. In fact, it's just brought out an ancient and medieval skirmish set.
Yeah.
It's a set of rules I'm really into, and hopefully we're going to have a good game tonight.
Brilliant. Excellent. So, get us going. How do we start?
Okay, first off, we draw a card to see who's got initiative. So we flick over. I've got the 8 of spades. You've got a 2 of hearts, so my 8 beats your 2. I've got the first go. I now take over another card, and that will give me action points. So I've got the 3 of hearts, so I've got 3 action points. Mm-hmm. To move a figure is 1 point.
Right, okay.
To move him again would be 3 points.
Okay.
And you move, then fire. Once you've fired, no further movement with that figure.
Okay.
Okay, so I've got 3 points to allocate. My leader here is Sergeant Kowalski.
Yep.
And he's backed up by Corporal Clooney.
Ah, very nice.
So, my first move is I'm going to send a 3-man rifle team up the road, movement 6 inches.
Cool.
So now we're into Mark's turn. He draws a 7 and moves 7 of his guys up. And then we're into initiative. Phil draws a 9, Mark draws a 4. Phil moves his dudes up. Mark draws a jack, giving him 11 points. He moves all of his guys up, and any extra points are wasted. Then for the next initiative, Phil draws a jack and Mark draws a queen, giving Mark the initiative. He draws another queen for his activation, giving him another 12 points. Mark moves all of his guys for 1 point, except for one guy that he moves twice, costing him 4 points. Phil draws an ace for his activation, only giving him one guy that he can activate. So with this, he moves his machine gun team up. For the next activation, Phil draws a 5, Mark draws a jack. Mark draws an 8 for his activation, activating 8 dudes. He moves 8 of them up. Phil draws a 5. Phil moves 5 of his guys up. Now they're all on the road. So we're into the next round of initiative. Phil draws a king, but Mark draws a joker, ending the turn. Both player decks are shuffled, and they draw for initiative again. Phil draws a jack, but Mark draws a king. Mark draws a 2 for his activation cards, which means that he can only really move 2 guys, which he does. Phil draws a 3, moving up 3 guys in line with the hedge to cover the house. Next activation, Mark draws a 10 and Phil draws a 4. For his activation points, Mark draws a 4. He moves 2 guys into the building on the ground floor, and he moves 2 guys up to the building. Phil also draws a 4 for his activation, and he moves 4 guys up the road near the crossroad. So Phil wins the next activation, but he only draws a 2 for his action points, and he moves the 2 guys up the road. Mark draws a 12 for his activation points. He moves all of his guys, and one of them he moves twice to get him past the wall. And so it's the next round of initiative, and Mark wins that. He draws an 8 for his activation points. He moves a couple of guys up from one floor to the next in the building. He moves 2 guys into the house. A rifleman takes a shot at the sergeant in the open, but he draws a joker that ends the round. So that's it, we skip it and go on to the next turn. Phil wins initiative.
Now, your man's fired from the window.
But he didn't fire though, did he?
You did. You declared a fire, and you've missed because you drew
But
the
you
joker.
never stipulated that.
Well, I'm stipulating it now.
I tell you, mate, you're sailing close to the wind.
Hey, look, the way my cards are going, I need all the help I can get, okay? So, I've got 3 eagle-eyed riflemen
Yeah.
who are going to fire at that window and your man who's just shot.
Yeah, but they're not in the window.
Well, how did you don't shoot through a brick wall, do you?
Pop up, pop down.
No.
What do you mean, no?
Pop up, pop down.
Oh, go on then. Phil's rules, I see.
You
Phil's
are
rules.
You are such a pop tart.
Phil's guy takes a shot at the chap in the house.
You're like a dog with a bone, aren't you?
8.
8. Okay. So you've beaten me because
Okay.
I only get 1 shot. You would have got another card because you're in hard cover.
Okay.
Okay. In fact, I would have given you another 2 cards because you were down.
I was down, mate.
And if I do remember rightly,
Yeah.
when I was in the Royal Air Force,
Okay.
if you fired at a brick wall with an SLR, it would go through it.
I do remember rightly when I was in the army, the RAF didn't have SLRs
Really?
because you wouldn't be trusted with them.
Okay.
All you
I
had
see.
was mess tins and rolled up newspapers.
Okay, yeah. No, there's no mess tins in the hotels I've frequented.
I can attest to that.
Just for that, I'm going to open fire with the second man.
Okay.
Phil draws a queen. It's looking bad for Mark, but he draws a joker that ends the turn immediately, so he's safe. So we're on to the next initiative, which is won by Mark. Mark draws an ace, giving him 1 action point. He uses that to shoot at Phil's sergeant. Mark draws a 4, Phil draws a 7, the sergeant's safe.
And he scores 7.
Yeah.
So I'm higher than you, so you've missed.
But I wouldn't miss against the RAF.
But he's not in the RAF, he's the
Well,
first infantry. It's a big
he-
red one.
Him is you.
He's not. His name's Kowalski.
Kowalski.
Yeah.
Phil draws a card giving him 10 activation points. He moves his sergeant and 1 more into cover. He then shoots at the guy shooting out the window.
And I'm going to fire with these 3, okay? At the old man who's just fired, who's not been fast enough to duck down.
Yeah, but he's moved. That's what he's doing, mate.
Why are you like this?
Because it's you.
Every time. Why are you like this?
Phil draws a 10 for shooting, which is a great card, but Mark gets 3 cards because he's in cover. He draws a 10, a queen and a 5, so his guy's safe. Phil then moves up 3 more guys, but decides to lose the rest of his actions. Mark wins the initiative.
Hey, can you climb through windows? Or do you have to go through doors?
You can go through a window. Can you climb through a window when you're on the range at Senalaga or something, or Paderborn or
Well, yeah, because I'm army.
Warmington-on-Sea? Yeah, I was Air Force. We had people that climb through windows.
At the Hilton, you were
Yeah.
obviously climbing through windows. So
I know you're only jealous because you couldn't get in the RAF regiment.
do not disrespect me like that, mate. That's just you've
I
gone
can
too
see you're
far
just
now.
green with envy.
You've
aren't
just
you?
gone too far, mate.
He moves some of his guys up. He fires one of his riflemen at the chap in the open. Mark draws a queen. Phil draws an ace. The chap's down. Mark then shoots at another guy, drawing an 8. But Phil draws a jack, so the shot misses.
But he gets a jack, so the bullet just whistles past him harmlessly.
Okay.
More time on the range and less guzzling sausage.
I can say something, but I'm not.
Phil draws a 6 for his activation points. 2 of his guys shoot at the chap shooting out the window on the building on the left. Both miss. Next, 2 riflemen shoot at the guy firing out of the right window. Phil draws a queen. Mark draws a joker. It's game turn over. So once again, a joker has saved Mark's bacon. Time to check to see if the down guys are back or if they're out of the game. Phil draws a black card and his guy's back. Mark draws a red guy and his guy's dead. So, Phil, as the Americans, what's your grand strategy for rolling over the Germans?
Well, I'm going to send my men up the road and I'm going to take as much cover as I can from the hedgerow and the trees. Hopefully get my men into the buildings before the Germans get there and hold out until my armour can roll up the road for a secure counterattack.
Great stuff. Let's see how it plays out. So, Phil, it's been a slow advance from the Americans, but
It certainly has.
How do you feel it's going?
Not too well, actually. Not too well. I mean, he's in one of the buildings already. He's putting fire down on my men. I haven't got a lot up front. He's already taken a couple of pot shots at the sergeant and the corporal. So I really need some better value cards to get some more men up so I can put more firepower down than he's laying down on me.
Is there anything you think you can do at this stage to sort of
pull it out the bag, turn it around?
I can keep his men suppressed in the house. I think I might have scored a hit on one of them. So, and it's only small arms fire. I've not encountered any machine gun fire yet.
Okay, cool.
That's always
well,
a good
good.
sign.
At least it's not got that set up yet.
Yeah.
So that's good. All right, well, all the best. Let's see how the next part goes.
Okay, so Phil gets the initiative. He draws a king, giving him 3 action points. He moves all of his guys. One of his dudes takes a shot at Mark in the building. Phil draws a 10, Mark draws a queen, so the shot's missed. For his activation, Mark draws a joker, which means that it's the end of the turn and we're on to the next one. So we're back to initiative, which is won by Phil. He opens up with his 30 cal. Because it's a machine gun, he draws 3 cards. Mark draws another joker, which saves his bacon once again. This time Mark wins the initiative. He draws 8 for his action points and moves 2 guys up and into the house. He advances some more of his guys. He fires his machine gun from the building at Phil's machine gun, which is hiding in the bushes. Mark draws 3 cards for his machine gun, and Phil beats all 3 cards, meaning that Mark has missed. Phil draws an ace for initiative, giving him just the 1 activation, which he uses to shoot with his machine gun. He draws a joker, which once again ends the turn and saves Mark's bacon yet again. So Phil wins the initiative, and he draws a card giving him 5 action points. He shoots with his machine gun, but Mark is saved by being in hard cover. Unfortunately, as he was running through the shooting of the machine gun, he lost track of his actions points and actually forgot to take the rest of his actions. Mark draws a 2 for his action points and advances 2 guys into the middle building. So next turn, Mark wins the initiative. He draws a 5 for his action points. 1 guy moves twice, costing him 4 points. A rifleman fires at the BAR and takes him down. Phil draws a king, giving him a whopping 13 points. He uses this Phil draws a king, giving him a whopping 13 points. He uses this big number to double a number of his guys on the flank. So then we're on to Mark's action. Mark draws a jack. He moves 2 of his guys upstairs in the middle building. He then opens up with his machine gun, shooting the US machine gun in the bushes. Phil draws a joker, ending the turn. Phil's the only one with a guy down at the moment. Phil draws a red card, meaning that the BAR is out of the game. So we're on to the next turn. Mark wins the initiative. Mark then draws a queen for his action points, giving him 12. His rifleman shoots and takes down one of the US guys. The Schmeiser shoots out of the building at long range, which means that he only gets 1 card and still manages to take a guy down. A rifleman shoots at Kowalski but misses. The machine gun opens up at the infantry in the hedge, but again they miss. It's then on to Phil's turn. He draws an ace for his action points, which means that he only has 1 action that he can take. He uses this to shoot at the guy in the building, but is saved by the cover. And we're on to the next turn, and Mark wins the initiative. Mark gets a jack, giving him 11 points of action to use. He shoots 2 of his riflemen at Kowalski. Mark draws a 9, but Phil draws a joker, ending the turn. So at this point, 2 of Phil's guys are down. He draws a red for 1 and a black for the other, meaning that one's back and one's out of the game.
So Mark, it's looking like it's going well for the old Krauts there. You seem to be knocking the stuffing out of the Yanks as they're trying to get there.
Yeah, well, I've managed to get into all 3 buildings, but my left flank, I've only got 1 figure in there. He's pushing both flanks. I was hoping to time down with my MG, but that Browning that he's got is just going to start tearing me apart soon. So for me, I think it's just hold as long as I can. I can't really do anything. I have thought about shifting some other figures to my left flank to support the other one in there because they're coming down. But at least I took down his BAR. Yeah. So there we go. For
someone that seems to be like really winning, you seem to be taking it really badly. You know?
Well,
it's like
well, I don't know. I don't know how much time's left, and I'm just panicking now because you've got the might of the USA storming down that road. And I've got a feeling there'll be some armour coming soon. So.
The big green machine.
Yeah, the old Shermans will come charging down there soon. But
cool.
All I can do is just try and hold. I wasn't expecting to get to the buildings, but
I think getting to the buildings first helped, and obviously Phil's early goes where he had like low numbers. That really helped.
Yeah. I'd like someone to permanently have the camera on his cards for the later moves.
So Phil wins initiative and he draws a king, giving him 13 actions for once. He moves his guys up to the hedge. His machine gun lays down covering fire but fails to hit anything. His guys on the right flank move up and he opens up on the guys in the farmhouse, and one of Mark's guys goes down. Mark draws a king for his activation points, giving him, once again, 13 action points. His 2 riflemen in the middle building open up on the guys on the track, downing 2 of them. He then opens up on the guys that are advancing through the field. But again, Mark draws a joker. This surely saved Phil's bacon. Mark draws a red when testing to see if his guy comes back, which means that he's dead and out of the game. Phil has 2 guys down. He draws a red for one and a black for the other. So, next turn, Phil wins the initiative, but he draws a 2 for his action points. His rifleman shoots and misses. The machine gun opens up but fails to score any hits. Mark draws a 5 for his initiative points. His rifleman opens up on the guy in the lane, and it's a hit. The rifleman in the house opens up against the guy in the field, and it's another hit. The next rifleman shoots and he misses. Another rifleman opens up and downs another guy. Finally, the Schmeiser opens up at Kowalski, but it's a miss. Okay, Mark wins initiative. He draws a queen. That's 12 mighty action points. He opens up with his 2 riflemen and the MP40. All miss.
9. Oof. You should not hit a cow's ass with a banjo.
2 more riflemen open up, but they fail to hit too. So it's over to Phil. Phil draws 5 action points. Phil runs some guys up to the building on the left. Phil's guy throws a grenade into one of the farmhouses, downing a figure in there. The next guy shoots at the Germans in the farmhouse. But Mark, once again, draws a joker. So Phil has a motivation of 3 and 4 casualties. So he needs anything but a 1 to pass his morale. But no, he's drawn an ace. This means that the game is over, and his men have withdrawn from the field of battle. Well, commiserations, Phil, and congratulations. I've completely forgotten your name. Mark, I knew really. Yeah, congratulations, Mark. Yeah. So getting to those buildings and stuff, it paid off. You know.
It did pay off, but I was worried when he split his forces. So, as you can see, I was very light on one side.
Yeah.
Managed to get in the middle. Didn't use my MG as much as I could. Was very worried about he stacked one side.
Yeah.
Very worried because he put his brown in there, but I got even more worried when he had super duper cards. I'd like you to go through the film and just check, because my cards were atrocious. So, but it was a good game. I'd like to play it again.
Nobody hates a poor loser.
No, they don't.
I'm sorry, little winner. What am I talking about?
I know.
Nobody likes
at the end of the day, the army triumphed over the RAF, so that's the main thing.
Oh, so Phil, you've got to have a comeback for that.
Well, I have. I mean, it's the army. I mean, I ask you, really.
Yeah.
What am I competing against, really?
Clearly the better man.
Well, no, because I blame the deck of cards. I mean, it was the poor cards, slowing my advance, or I would have been all over him.
That is true. Those initial advances were pretty slow with the
They were.
cards.
I didn't realise that there was a nail and massage bar on the way. And my guy there.
Well, it's important. They've got to have their priorities, right?
Oh, absolutely. You've got to be pampered on your way to the front line.
In the true RAF spirit.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
No comment.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you ever so much for
Thank you very
tonight.
much.
All good,
Thank you,
mate.
Johnny. And
Lovely.
Well played.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. I thought you was going to pull your hand away then.
It's tempting, but I'm on camera.
Right, that's true, yeah. Happy
I
days.
pretend to be magnanimous.
I couldn't even spell it.
That's why I was in the RAF.
I know, yeah. There we go.
all right. Cheers. Thank you. Well, thank you, everyone, and good night.